Hi, my name is Mary. I'm an alcoholic. Let's start with my story, beginning, middle, and end. So I was born in Ireland, one of 5 kids. I'm the middle of 5, and I moved here to America when I was 6 years old. My family had to move here to the States as a direct result of my father's drinking and alcoholism. When we lived in Ireland, my father owned a pub, and we used to live above the pub. So I used to, from an early age, I was introduced to alcohol, more on a social level. It wasn't really alcoholic drinking or anything, but, and those were happy memories for me. My parents lived above the pub, and they used to put me to bed, and I'd sneak out every night, and I'd go down and I'd have my little buddies at the bar, and I'd sit and go up and sit on their laps and take sips out of their pints of Guinness. And then at the end of the night, my dad would be cleaning up after he closed the bar and everything, and I'd run ahead of him, and I'd try to grab whatever was left in the glasses and try to drink it. And he'd be yelling at me, telling me to go back upstairs. But those are some of my earliest memories of alcohol. And not to say that I was a 3-year-old alcoholic, but I definitely had a taste for it when I was young. So once my family moved here, my father was actually sober. He was sober since I was born, actually. But they ended up losing the pub in Ireland, and we had to move here to America. So once we moved here to America, I really wasn't around alcohol that much. My dad was sober, and my mom just drank socially, definitely not alcoholically at all. So we used to, we'd have family coming over to visit from Ireland, and only then would really alcohol be in our house, when we had visitors coming to visit. So my first probably jackpot with alcohol was I was in 6th grade, and we had just had a bunch of family visiting from Ireland, and I ended up thinking it was a good idea to pack up alcohol and bring it to school. So I went to school, and we were drinking in the bathroom. We were in 6th grade, so it was probably at snack time, which would have been about 10 in the morning, which is crazy. But nothing happened that day at school. We never got caught for it, although the rumor mill started. And the next day I was called into the office, and they asked me what I had done, and I fessed up, and I told them I brought alcohol to school. So I ended up getting suspended from school, like internal suspension, and that was my first real jackpot, I guess, with alcohol. So I was from an early age starting to show signs of trouble, but it still didn't scare me away from alcohol. Throughout my teenage years, I was, starting to become obsessed with alcohol. Especially, I was a weekend warrior, but I used to make sure that I would plan to have something to do that weekend that involved booze. So we're it was probably regular teenage drinking, but we were always drinking on the weekends, and then we'd go back to school during the week, and it was fine. But I ended up going to college up in Maine, and my sister was 4 years older than me. So before I went to college, I decided to take my sister's passport, so to ensure that I would be able to get alcohol when I went up to school in Maine. So now here, I had patterns of starting to become have that mental obsession and physical compulsion with booze. So I went to college in Maine, and I pursued a career in the medical field. And then that was my first introduction to AA, was actually through my schooling. I had to go to a detox, was part of my training, and they had AA meetings coming into the detox. So I started to have to go to these AA meetings every Thursday night while I was at this detox for school. And I started to, I really listened, and I kind of enjoyed it, but I still didn't think I was an alcoholic. But I said, it's probably, I knew it was in my future. I said, I'll keep that on the back burner and remember to go, I'll go to AA probably when I'm 40 is kind of the attitude I had. Like, I had no intention of giving up alcohol, especially while I was in college, but I knew that I didn't drink like normal people, but I still wasn't willing to give it up. So I went on and I continued to drink heavily through college, and I ended up graduating from college and I got a job in the medical field. I was working the overnight shift, and then my drinking started to really take off. I would start to drink in the morning when I got home from work because I felt that it was, 8 o'clock in the morning was the same as as somebody else's 8 o'clock at night, and people who worked during the day were entitled to go home and have a glass of wine, and I felt I should be able to do the same thing. So that started to really accelerate for me. But in the meantime, I had also started to experiment with stimulants. I started taking stimulants for ADHD, which I don't know that I really truly had, but I had convinced doctors to give me a prescription for Adderall. So I was using the Adderall I was basically being my own little chemist, and I was using the Adderall as an upper to keep me awake while I was drinking so that I'd be able to drink as much as I wanted. And then I was, on the flip side, using the alcohol to come down off of the Adderall. So I was starting to become a little, just not drinking like normal people. And I was never a social drinker. I always had that mental obsession and physical compulsion. Like, once I started drinking, I couldn't stop. So I ended up getting in trouble with the prescription pills. I started going to different doctors, and I had multiple prescriptions going. And basically I got called out on it by one of the doctors. So I immediately started to worry about, I worked in the medical field, and I started to worry about my career. And I was afraid that I was going to lose my license. So I knew that something had to be done, and I knew that if I went to detox that I could at least say that I was trying to get help. So I called up Baldpate, and I went to Baldpate, and they asked me if I had trouble with my drinking. And I said, no, it's just Adderall. I take too much Adderall, and I need to come off of it. And I wasn't ready to admit that I had a problem with alcohol. So they said, well, we can't, there's not much we can do to help you detox off of Adderall, but why don't you come in and we'll start a counseling session and try to help you get through it. But they weren't really going to admit me for detox. So, but again, at the end of the conversation, the woman said, if you do have a problem with alcohol, we will be able to help you. So that night I thought about what she said, and I continued to drink heavily that night. And I don't know what happened, but I was getting drunk from the neck down, but my head wouldn't shut off, and I knew I needed to do something about my drinking. So I stopped drinking that morning, and I talked to my mother, who's a nurse, and I told her, I said, Mom, once I tell them how much I'm drinking, I know they're going to keep me in the hospital. So I had a bag packed when I went to Baldpate for my outpatient appointment, and I told the truth. I just told them how much I was drinking and that I needed help and I couldn't stop. So I ended up getting admitted to detox, and once I was in detox, I actually really, it was like a weight off my shoulders. I just was so happy to be there, and I listened to everything that they told me, all the suggestions, and I really participated in the groups, and it was weird. It felt like it was like I said, a weight off of my shoulders. So I ended up doing an outpatient program at Baldpate once I got out of the detox, and I took their suggestions, and I started going to AA every night. After I would leave the class, I'd find a meeting and I'd go, and I started to really enjoy AA. I didn't quite do the 90 and 90 because my work schedule wouldn't allow me to do that, but I definitely, I chased AA with a vengeance when I first got sober. So at the end of the outpatient program, I had to go to a wedding, and I was so nervous to go to this wedding. It was going to be my first sober event. I was 30 days sober, and I went to the wedding, and I'm sorry to say I wasn't able to stay sober through the wedding. I just had, severe anxiety, and I started drinking, like secretly drinking at the wedding. I told people I was getting, cranberry juice, and I'd come back with the Cape Codder, and I ended up getting very drunk that night, and I woke up the next morning, and I was just so disappointed with myself. I couldn't believe that I had done that again. And I had just come off of having a month off of work, so that I could get help for my alcoholism. And then the first chance I got, I blew it. Like, I just couldn't stay sober. So I just realized I had to start all over again. So I went over to the White Whale that Sunday morning and started all over again. So I was back to day 0. But this time I knew what I needed to do, and I just kept going to AA. I started going to multiple meetings a day, and that was 4 years ago. So I just, I'm so grateful to AA. It's changed my life, and it's helped me. I had an amazing first year of sobriety. I was able to do a bunch of things that I had always planned on doing, but I just never got around to doing it because I was always too drunk. Like, I learned to ski. I learned to ski with a really good friend in the program who basically taught me how to ski. My first year of sobriety, I went skiing 11 times. And I just, I really did all these things that I never thought I would do. I ended up going skydiving on my first year anniversary. My first sober anniversary, I went skydiving, and I was on a pink cloud for a really long time. Like, my life totally changed. I was able to change my job, which I had felt stuck in. And things were just starting to really come together for me. And then, life happens even in sobriety, and some awful things happened. My sister died of a heroin overdose, and I was able to make it through that because of the people of AA. They all showed up at her funeral and her wake, and they just kind of surrounded me with love, and they were able to help me and my family get through that. And so it's been really tough for me, but I still know where to go, and it's just meeting makers make it, I just started working with somebody on doing the big book, and that's made a big difference. I'm still like in the very beginning of that, so I'm just trying to do the work a little bit. But I think that's pretty much my story. All I can say is if you're having trouble with booze, the place to go is AA, and it really will change your life, and take it one day at a time. All right, thank you.